Okay, we moved inside and just have a few crabs here for lunch. Put them on newspaper, which keeps the mess concentrated in the newspaper. You can roll, when you're all done, the shells are off to the side, you roll the newspaper up, and that takes care of the problem. I've got a little crab mallet. You can use a hammer, anything really. And the other end is kind of like a table knife. Table knife is really all you need. And a little cutting board if you're going to hammer on the crabs. I usually only do that with the big claws. Everything else is pretty easy. My wife is an expert at feeling these crabs and kind of weighing them. Trying to get the biggest, healthiest, fattest crabs in the bunch. And that one feels like the best. This one is probably the prettiest crab, but this one feels heavier. But anyway, this is a pretty much a perfect crab. It's got claws. Here we go. It's not that big, but first thing we do is take the claws off. Sometimes there's a bite of back fin crab meat on there. You can just kind of pull it off, set the crab claws aside. This is what we do. Crab claws are great, but we'll get to them later. Put the claws off. Now, go to the apron. This is a male crab. You just kind of use a knife or this or a pry or some sort and pull that apron off. Get it back, put it away. And it's good to put all of your discarded shells in one pile so they don't get mixed up with the crabs. Now, we're going to take the top shell off, the carapace, and you do it slowly. Put your thumb underneath. There's a ridge here. Put your thumb underneath there and slowly pull it. You'll feel it pop. If you do it too fast, it might break the shell. It makes it more difficult. This is all good to eat here. This is the only part of the crab, well, one of the very few parts of crab that are not good to eat. These are the lungs of the crab. They're you can see the texture of it. They're kind of like little fingers. I grew up. They were called dead man's. You're supposed to be able to get sick with those. I've never eaten one. They lay to the side of the crab. You just pull them out with your fingers. Put them aside. That's it. Now, in the front of the crab, often there is a digestive tract here. We call the sandbag, which is now it's come with the top shell. Just break that off. Put it aside. There's a piece of fat. Some people don't like to eat it, or I think it's a delicacy. If I know people at a party or a crab feast don't like to eat it, I make sure I sit next to them because they'll give me all theirs. That same fat is up in the ends of the top shell. That's where you need a knife or the backside of this crab mallet. Kind of pick at it, pull it out, onto the knife blade, kind of shoot. Do both sides. Now at this point, pretty much everything that is not shell is good to eat. Discard the shell, top shell. Now you have the crab itself. I run my finger through the middle and there's more of that fat, crab fat. This is a good healthy crab in between the two segments, the two half segments. This is wonderful to eat. Very, very good. Now, the trouble people have with eating crabs is they start mashing it, the meat, and they push the shell into the meat. It makes it difficult to eat. The key is to segment it. This is the back fin. This is the back of the crab. The front of the crab's this way. We're going to break him in half slowly. Okay? Some pieces of meat will break out. You pick at it. I prefer my fingers, but you could use a knife. So 1/2 down. Now we have half the crab. We're going to segment it again. These 4 legs, we're going to break it in 2. Slightly pinch it, never crush it, just pinch it, and you'll feel it give, and it will segment into 2 portions. This back fin is the best piece of meat in the entire crab. There is a single shell that goes all the way around this back fin crab meat. And if you're careful, as I'm going to try to do, you just pick the crab shell away from the crab meat, discarding the shell. And now there's a piece that's got some crab meat in it. If you squeeze it, it comes right out, very good to eat. Now that's a 1 large bite of back fin crab meat. That in Maryland in a crab cake would probably cost you certainly $50 for an 8-ounce crab cake. This is the best of the best. This is the filet mignon of the crab, and I can assure you I'm going to enjoy eating it. And it just comes off in 1 bite. Now, the legs, a lot of people don't mess with them. I do. If you break this segment of a leg just below the joint and squeeze it, a little piece of meat comes out. I use my teeth, pulls right out. If you don't like to pick at your food, crabs are probably not for you. Now the other half of the crab, it's not as easy to eat as the back fin, but there's plenty of meat. Anything that is not shell is perfectly edible, and it's in little cavities. The meat is in small cavities surrounded by shell, and you just kind of pick at it, and the meat falls away from the shell, and it's just wonderful. And you can see here, it's a little meticulous to get the meat out, and this is one of the reasons that blue crab meat is so expensive. Because there's no machine that can do this. You've got to do it yourself. So if you buy just crab meat, somebody somewhere had to do the picking. So it's labor intensive. And you know, you go slow, and perfectly honestly, I mean, this is something you drink beer with on a Friday or Saturday night with family and friends, or an afternoon football game, and it's about as good as it gets. And that's it. Crabs are one of the great things that the Lord gave us on the coast. Eating crab claws. Usually we save the crab claws till later. They're really good as an hors d'oeuvre. I mean, you can eat them as a main course. They're great, but the crab claws are awesome, and they're pretty easy to clean and pick. Just take a good claw. This one's got a piece of meat hanging out the back side. Bite it off. Take a good claw, big claw, and it's in 2 pieces. It's a joint here. So break it at the joint. If there's any meat that pulls out from the side, use your teeth, pull it out. Don't hit it hard. Don't mash the shell into the meat. You just want to break it. You want to break it enough that you can get to it. I just kind of tapped that, and it opened right up. You don't want to kill it. Just kind of pick at it, and a knife or a crab mallet like this with a flat back side is perfect for picking at this meat. Sometimes it comes out in one big chunk. It's great. Set that shell to the side. Get it on both sides. Be careful of shells. Any shell, just discard them. Put it in a pile. Both sides kind of come apart just like that. The forward part where the claw is, Give it a little shot with the mallet, just so it just cracks. And sometimes, if we're really lucky, and we weren't, it all comes out in one piece. Pick the shell away, use your knife or your mallet back. And your teeth to pick away at it. I prefer to just kind of pick at it, peeling the shell away from the meat. This is all good meat. Takes time. You have to be industrious and sally forth, but the rewards of crabs are something else. That's it. Crab claws are really good cold the next day. Make a great hors d'oeuvre. You make a little horseradish sauce to dip it in. It's excellent.